All right, let's get practicing in QuickBooks Online. Grab the link below so that you can follow along. Today we're going to be walking through one of the exercises from the QBO Gym. The QBO Gym is a practice set of exercises that simulates the experience of actually being a bookkeeper. So as you can see, it's organized by month. So every month you get a new set of exercises that are organized into these 4 categories. And today we're working on the February warm-up. So if I click on warm-ups, you'll notice that each section starts with a little video that talks about what happened in Craig's business this month. And then there's a little quiz about the video. And then here we have the individual exercises. So the one that we are working on in this video is for this exercise, or this one right here. Notice that it says for this exercise, you will need the stack of receipts that Craig left for you. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding expenses based on the things that Craig bought this last month. So it says you'll need the stack of receipts. So you'll want to scroll up right here underneath the video. You're going to click this and you'll get this stack of receipts, and it looks like this. So here we kind of have these simulated receipts that Craig got for these different places. And then we're going to, once we have that, then we can go ahead and do our exercise. So I'm going to click right there. Of course, all the exercises are done in the sample company. If you don't know how to get your free QuickBooks Online Accountant account, or you don't know how to access the sample company, links about that are below as well. Let's read our scenario. Okay, so Craig left you a stack of receipts to enter for purchases he made since you last visited. Click the link between the animated warm-ups video on the previous page to grab a copy. We'll use them for this exercise. Of course, we just did that. But here is a big note that you need to pay attention to when you're entering expenses. One of the challenges when receiving receipts is knowing which account they were paid out of. If you can't tell from the receipt itself, you'll need to ask Craig. For these exercises, we will assume that Craig used his debit card and paid for all of them from his checking account. Also, we will not be working with sales tax in these exercises. Okay, so as you can see, there are 3 receipts, and you can see that the exercise is broken up into kind of these 3 sections. So first we're going to work on Tanya's nursery. And notice it says we'll start with the receipt that says Tanya's. Even though it doesn't say Tanya's nursery specifically, we can be reasonably assured that it's the same. You could ask Craig if you needed to double check. Okay, so here on the receipt, it just says Tanya's. But you can look and you can say, oh, well, you can see what he bought, soil and mulch, and it's probably Tanya's nursery. So I think you can make that reasonable assumption. Okay, so let's see. Step 1, we're going to click plus new and select expense. So here I am in my sample company. I'm going to click plus new and then select expense. While that's loading, let me go back to the exercise. Step 2, in the payee field, start typing Tanya's nursery, then click on the name when it appears. Okay, so here I am. Who was it? Tanya. Okay, Tanya's nursery. Note that checking is already selected as the payment account. Okay, oops, not that one. The payment account, so you would want to make sure that that is actually still selected there. Okay, and then step 3. Next, you will need to decide whether to add the items in the category grid or the items grid. So let's take a look at this. Here is our expense, and we have this section here, category details, and we have item details, and each one has what's called a grid or a table inside of it, and you have to decide which one of these you're going to put the items that Craig got from Tanya's. So how do you know which one to use? Okay, let's read more. They will go in the items grid if Craig wants to track how many he has on hand, for example, an inventory product, or whether he wants to track just how many he has purchased over time. So that would be a non-inventory product. If so, they will be set up in products and services. If neither of these are true, they will go in the category grid. Okay? In Craig's case, he tracks bags of soil, but he does not track bags of mulch. Let's look at this expense again. Okay? So here's Tanya's receipt. He bought both soil and mulch. Well, we know that Craig, and we can look this up, we'll see this more in a minute, we can see that Craig tracks soil, so soil is set up as a product or service so that he can track it, but he does not track bags of mulch, okay? So for the mulch, we're going to put that in the category grid, okay? So in the category grid, we're going to enter job expenses, job materials, plants, and soils. Okay, so right here, now this is just a leftover from the last time that we bought something from Tanya. It assumes that we want to use the same thing, and this is a setting in accountant settings. For our purposes, we don't, so we're just going to type plants. Okay, notice that there are two different plants and soil accounts. So let's read further. Okay. Note that if you type plants and soils, you will be presented with what looks like identical choices in the dropdown. Okay, so we've got the picture here, but you can also see right here, I type plants. Actually, let me just finish typing plants. Now, I guess it's still under job expenses. Okay, so we've got plants and soil. They look identical. You can't really tell which is which. Okay. The first option is the expense account. The second option is the income account. They are alphabetical based on the full account name. So the first one is job expenses, job materials, plants, and soil. So right here you can see expenses, job materials, plants, and soil. Okay, so that's an expense. Oops. Oh, I didn't know that would make that bigger. And then the second one is landscaping services, job materials, plants, and soil. Okay, so right here. In a real world scenario, you may want to consider changing the names so you can more easily tell which is which. Okay, that's definitely something I would do if I were working with Craig. It's kind of ridiculous that they're so similar, but doing a cleanup is not what we are doing in this set of exercises. So right now we're just going to have to live with it. Okay. All right. So step 4, let's see. Does it tell you which one to select? Step 4. No. Oh, it does. Here we go. In the category grid, we want to select that first one, which is the expenses. Okay. So we're going to select this first one. Notice it comes across job expenses, job materials, plants, and soil. Okay. Alrighty. And then step 4, under description, we're going to enter mulch. Under amount, we're going to enter 125. So this comes from the receipt, right? So it's mulch, 125. Notice that we're not adding 50 bags. We don't have to say that it's 50 bags. That's because Craig doesn't track the specific number of bags of mulch. Okay, notice I have that right here. Note that you do not need to indicate the number of bags of mulch because Craig is not tracking that. That's why we're using the category grid. Okay, so we're just going to type mulch and then 125. Mulch and 125. Okay. All right, now we're going to go to steps 5 through 7. Now we're going to use the items grid because for soil, he does track individual ones. So we're going to click the arrow to open the items detail grid. Okay, so right here, we're going to click that. Let me scroll that up a little bit. Okay. Under product service, we're going to enter landscaping soil. If I just type soil, I think it'll come up, right? Okay. Notice now it says this is 2 cubic foot bags. A 2 cubic foot bag. If I can talk. All right, so let's see, how many did we get? We got 20 bags. So we're going to go into the expense and we're going to say that was 20 bags. Okay. Let's see, what does it say? So we checked the receipt. It said under quantity, enter 20. When we click the tab, QBO will calculate the amount. Let's take a look at that. So here, I clicked 20, I clicked tab out of it, and then it automatically calculated the amount, which was 130. This rate, $6.50, came from our products and services list. And then if we look at our receipt, you can see that's exactly what it is, 20 bags of soil for $130. Okay, so let's go back to our exercise. So we've done that much. Note that the description, 2 cubic foot bag, and the rate, $6.50, come from the information in the products and services list. If the description or price had been different, you could change them here. As it is, however, it matches the receipt from Tanya's. We already looked at that. So moving on to step 7, the total of the transaction now matches the total of the receipt. Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, so $255. Is that what the receipt says? Yes, $255, because we are not dealing with sales tax. We're going to pretend that we're in Oregon when we're doing this. Oregon doesn't have sales tax. All right, so let's see. As it is, it matches the receipt. Okay, so step 7, the total matches the receipt, but we have more expenses to enter, so click Save and New. Okay, so we're done with this one. We're going to click Save and New. We'll go back to our exercise. Now let's take a look at the Hicks Hardware receipt. Okay, so Hicks Hardware right here, we've got a shovel. All right, in the Payee field, enter Hicks Hardware. So we've got Hicks Hardware. The checking account is still selected. Craig does not track individual shovels, so we'll use the category grid, not the items grid for this. In the category grid, we're going to enter supplies. Okay, so the last time we bought something from Hicks Hardware, this is what it was, but we're not going to do that this time. So we're going to type supplies. There it is. Okay. In the description, enter shovel. And in the amount, enter $24.38. Okay, remember all of this is coming from our receipt right here. Shovel, $24.38. Okay, all right, we have more expenses to enter, so click Save and New. So right here, again, we're going to click Save and New. And we have one more expense on our sheet here. We've got this lunch with crew with Bob at Bob's. Okay, so let's move to Bob's Burger Joint. Finally, we'll enter the receipt that says Bob's. Even though it doesn't say Bob's Burger Joint specifically, we can be reasonably assured that it's the same. You could ask Craig if you needed to double check, okay? Same as what happened with Tanya. In the Payee field, enter Bob's Burger Joint, okay? Bob's Burger Joint. Note that checking is already selected as the payment account, okay? So here it says coming out of checking. In the category grid, enter meals and entertainment. Okay, so let's go here. We're going to select meals and entertainment. All right, so let's read a little bit more. Note that there are 2 different categories set up in Craig's chart of accounts for meals. Let's see if so if I type meals, notice there's a travel meals and there's also a meals and entertainment. So let's see what this says. Travel meals would likely be for when Craig or his employees have to travel to another location, such as for a conference. Meals and entertainment is likely used if Craig were to wine and dine a potential or current client. Taking the crew out to lunch doesn't qualify for either of these, and all of the meals have different tax implications. In a real-life scenario, you would want to check with Craig and/or his accountant to confirm how they would like this to be categorized. You could create an Ask My Accountant category or use a tag to mark this for later, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're going to choose meals and entertainment. So meals are kind of a big deal when we're talking business expense. So you want to make sure that you talk to the accountant and make sure how they want this categorized. Okay? All right. Back in our exercise, step 3, in the description field, enter lunch for the crew. Okay. Lunch for the crew. In the amount field, enter 55. Okay. And then step 4, since this is the last of our receipts, click Save and Close. All right, so this time we're going to hit Save and Close. All right, that's it for this exercise. Next up, we're going to talk about the last exercise in the warm-up section for February, which is processing bank feed transactions. See you there.